Hello everyone, and welcome to this video about the upcoming Tools for Meaningful Connection course. Gary and I are going to have a chat, and this is what came out.
So I'm grateful to be here, blessed to be here, and it's inspiring, Forté. I'm blessed to be in this space, and thank you for having me.
So what led to the making of this video?
What I'm offering and these communication tools are extremely important and valuable. And so my job is to nurture and care for the parts of me that are afraid, while also keeping on purpose and staying strong and committed to turning my passion into my vocation. And that involves showing up, being accountable, being willing to turn up and do what I said I'm going to do.
Where am I coming from as a facilitator?
The fact that I had to learn these tools means that it puts me in a good position to facilitate and to teach them, because they haven't come naturally to me. They've been something that I've had to learn from the get-go, from the ground up. And the good thing about that is that I know what it's like to not come into a space with tools of meaningful connection and want the desire to acquire them, and what that's like and how challenging that can be sometimes. So I think that empathy puts me in a good place to guide and support people on their journey.
Gary shared about his work in disability support, and it got me thinking about the real strong need for us to advocate for ourselves in the same way as care workers advocate for their clients.
You know, when I heard you expressing about when you're working with people with disabilities, I really like that there's this ability and desire and a need. It's an obvious need to attune to another human being, find out what their needs are, and then advocate for them. And I suppose one of the things that authentic relating and this communication work can help with is doing that for oneself, because sometimes it's easier to tune in professionally to a client than it is to tune into oneself. Most humans getting around have needs that are not yet legitimized, even by them. They've actually been denied a lot. They've been told, don't be needy, don't ask for these things. And they've been kind of put down in a lot of ways when they've expressed desires, wishes, wants, or tried to get their needs met. And it's created a disconnect. And part of this work, the communication work that I offer, is tuning back into oneself in that way to say, hey, what if you were my client and I was your carer and I cared about you? How would I advocate for you? What would I need to put in place? How would I need to treat you so that you could stay regulated, that you wouldn't freak out? And what do I need to tell other people about this human that I inhabit, that I'm in charge of, that I'm the carer, I'm the primary carer of Forté, and you're the primary carer of you. And so can we work out, like, what is our care plan? What do we need? Because there are barriers to that. And doing communication work, authentic relating, it's a way of coming into a space where the barriers to that are not necessarily removed, but a container gets created where people begin to see those barriers. I'm noticing that I have a real restriction in asking for what I want, for example. When you do an authentic relating practice that just says, I'll ask you, what do you want? And you say, I want this. And I say, what do you want? What do you really want? And what do you want? And I'll just keep asking you, you keep answering, and you start seeing that some of the barriers, some of the preclusions that stop you from just expressing what your needs, wants, and desires are. And that's the beauty of doing this work. And so Tools for Meaningful Connection is 5 weeks where people can come along and have some experience around listening, sharing, asking, boundaries, curiosity, these kind of fundamentals, these basics that may or may not have been neglected in their life. And there's a need for a muscle to be built back up again of self-advocacy, self-care, and self-expression. Because there's so many stories that get in the way of that. And once a safe enough space is created for people to be able to gently push beyond those stories, then the stories will be able to be seen. Then they can be worked with and overcome, and people can go away from the container with a little bit more courage. It's okay to ask for what I need. It's okay to advocate. It's okay to be curious, because I experienced it in safety, and now I can go into slightly less safety. Maybe it's with friends, then maybe it's with partner, then maybe it's with family of origin, and maybe with work. These places where the stories get really rigidly held. And this is the hope that practicing and building the muscles of these communication tools means that they can be then spread and used in everyday life more and more. And we can become walking permission slips for being courageously honest and advocating for our needs.
Thank you, Forté.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Gary talked about the benefits of doing men's work for him, and it got me thinking about the value of community.
Tumbling out of control, but in a positive way. I'm blowing with the wind now, and I'm picking up positive attributes and some gaining some bit of courage, and I see I'm feeling less guilt and I'm feeling less shame, and that's allowing me to grow in that space. So I'm tumbling forwards now, not backwards and out of control. So quite a profound change. I've made a lot of changes, and the flow-on effects are just so very positive and fulfilling conversations that I have.
Yeah, I like that. I like that image of you tumbling forward in control, and it feels like that you've got momentum, that there are changes happening. You're making different choices, and it's almost like a snowballing effect that feels like, I'm rolling forward down this hill, and I've got momentum now, and I'm gathering up different patches of snow and people along with me, like, let's go. And it sounds pretty fun, and of course it's not all joy, and there's a lot of stuff that can come up when we do this work, right? Like, we have to be willing to look at all of the stuff, like the light and the dark in us, when we start opening to it. But I think that's the value of community, right? Like, when we journey with other people, then the bumps and bruises that we might get along the way are more light-hearted and fun. They're not like, oh, I'm injured. It's more like, hey, check me out. Like, I got a bruise from doing that thing. That was, and then me too. Check out my bruise. And we can sort of collaborate together. And a problem shared is a problem halved. When we're in community, it makes such a difference when we're doing new things, new scary things. It makes it more like excitement than fear, because fear and excitement very similar depending on the context. Can I handle it? And when there are other people with us, yes, we can then handle it much more than if we're alone and isolated. The same thing can just be pure fear rather than any amount of excitement and, wow, this is great, isn't it? So another reason why Tools for Meaningful Connection is a group dynamic that I am pausing the launch of until I have enough people like yourself saying, this is this is right for me, I'm up for it, and I want to run it in person. I want it to be something where we're connecting face to face, human to human in each other's space, so that the communication is more than just here to here, and more than just verbal. It's non-verbal as well. because these beautiful ways of kind of interacting and even activating each other in that low level safe way means that I can notice. Because when I'm activated outside of a container, I can go into a lot of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and just try and protect myself. But when I get subtly activated in a held space, then I can have a little bit more ability to witness it and look at it and learn from it. And it's not overpowering, and I'm not alone, and I'm allowed to be activated. There's a consent. There's even an encouragement. That's called finding one's edge. If I can be on my edge, it's enough activation for me to see things about myself, but not too much to push me over where I just need to cocoon or I need to take time out and re-regulate. That can happen, but generally with things like this course, the activations are at just the right level with just the right amount of support to be growthful and healing. And that's the therapeutic value of shared space and doing activities where there's an edge, but there's a container that holds that edge so that people can grow and learn and benefit from the activation.
Thank you, Forté. So that's very powerful. It's very, very powerful.
So Gary shared some of his self-awareness about how his past has affected the way that he shows up in the present. And it got me thinking and reflecting about the value of witnessing others be safe to share and to open up, and how we can retrain our nervous system to feel comfortable with this.
There's a lot of fear as well around my unworthiness, which I understand is my attachment to past, the shame, the guilt.
Yeah, can I reflect what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So I'm hearing that in your family home as a child, that any curiosity was seen as a criticism or judgment, and you weren't therefore allowed to ask any questions. You would get in trouble if you shared curiosities. And also when you were expressing yourself, that there was a good chance that in response to your expression, that the response would be somehow critical of you or a put down, some sort of punishing response from the people that were there to care for you. And so now when you are expressing yourself, there's some fears that come up, especially when you're talking to someone that maybe you don't know, because maybe in the back of your mind, there's the idea that how are they going to respond to me? They're probably going to criticize me. That's just the underlying fear, because that makes sense to me if that's how you were brought up. And am I getting that right so far, Gary?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it makes sense to me, because with that as an underlying fear, I can see why you're drawn into spaces like men's work, where there's a talking piece. Men are speaking one at a time, and there's actually a container created where no one's actually going to respond to you at all. In fact, you're going to be listened to and you're going to be thanked for sharing at the end of your share, but no one's going to give you their judgments of you. No one's going to criticize what you've said. You've been invited to speak from your own perspective. You're allowed to share your feelings. You're allowed to share your experience, and you're discouraged from sharing your judgments and opinions about things apart from what is your experience. And so those two things come together to create a safe enough space for you to undo that fear mechanism of every time I talk, I'm going to be attacked, because time and again, you're sharing and you're not being attacked, and you're sharing, and at the end of it, there's no actual danger, and it's slowly retraining your nervous system to go, oh, I'm actually okay to share. I can share. This is a safe enough thing to do in this space. And that's the retraining that men's work, shadow work, circle work, all of these sort of held spaces with clear boundaries and agreements in the space can do a lot of rewiring because they almost directly counter the original way that we were wounded or that you were wounded. And it's an immensely valuable place to be because not only are you doing it yourself and getting that experience, but you're watching other people do it and have that same experience. Wow, that person shared even more vulnerably than I was willing to. Not that it's a comparison, but what I'm saying is that we can see people modeling behavior of vulnerable share and they're okay. Nobody attacked them. Because it's sometimes when we're really afraid, we need to see other people be safe to do the thing we're afraid of. And with authentic relating and this tools for meaningful connection, we're going to be exploring curiosity. We're going to be exploring having boundaries. We're going to be exploring asking for what we want. And these are types of things that can have built-in mechanisms that prevent us from being successful. And when we are encouraged to do them, and when we watch other people do them and do them successfully without being attacked, without being criticized, without being judged, no matter what level they're at, this is incredibly healing for the heart, the mind, the body.
Thank you, Forté.
Once we start noticing ourselves, we've got to bring a lot of self-compassion.
Our nervous systems seem to be wired to prefer familiarity and what we're used to over what we actually know, part of our brain knows is good for us. And this is an extremely frustrating period of the development, and one that I'm not sure if it's going to go away. But being conscious and aware of patterns and going, I just did that thing again. I just sort of sabotaged that relationship because I expected it to go somewhere. And I can now see how I manifested that, or I created that reality. I can take ownership of the part that I played in creating something that is my pattern. And that's a difficult place to be because self-awareness rises so much faster than self-compassion. And so one of the things that I've learned is that it's vital that I prioritize the development of self-compassion as an active process while allowing self-awareness to kind of more naturally arise. Because self-awareness is relatively, so it's not necessarily easy, but it's easier than self-compassion in most cases. I have to really focus on cultivating and being active in manifesting my own compassion for myself, because my self-awareness will just keep flowing. I'll just keep having aha moments. Once they start, I will just continue to grow in self-awareness. But liking what I see and being willing to accept myself as I find out layer after layer the strategies and tools that I've used to keep myself safe over the decades that are locked into my nervous system in such a deep way that it's going to take a long time. I mean, these things, I'm 46 years old, right? So there are things that I've been practicing for 4.5 decades, that are not going to be removed overnight. They're going to take some time. And while they are being adjusted, and while I correct my course, while I create as much safety around myself with my self-awareness as I can, I've got to really practice self-compassion, because that's going to follow from way behind. I've got to gather up self-compassion, try and bring it and scoop up it from wherever I can. One of the things that has really helped me about men's work is when I sit in circle and I get to share something I'm ashamed of, something that feels really vulnerable, and there's no negative response, there's no judgment coming back. It's a level of acceptance of me that I may not have of myself. And so the beauty of community that is willing to accept me as I am and all my parts can do the job of acceptance and support me while I'm still growing in acceptance of myself. And that's one of the best ways of being supported in a community, is acceptance. And so Tools for Meaningful Connection teaches ways of being accepting in response to another. And Friday nights, I do empathy listening circles, and we share with each other. And then the only response is guessing at the feelings and needs that are being expressed. And that is a way of accepting the person as they are and being with them. Instead of saying, you need to be different, it's saying, is this how you are? Like, tell me more about that. I'm here with you. And that really supports, because self-awareness is growing, and supporting self-acceptance is such a valuable contribution from community.
That was beautiful. It was artwork, word art, emotional art. My goodness.
All right, let's go meta.
This has been my desire, my wish has been to basically be able to record me saying the things I say so that I can share them. And yeah, this is like the first time I've properly done it. There's been a few times in the past where I've been having a conversation on video call, and it's been like something's come out of my mouth, and we've both gone, if only we were recording that, that would be great to share. And so this is a little contrived, it feels a bit funny in my system, because the intention is not as natural as those conversations, right? Because I'm here, I've got an agenda, I've got a thing that I'm selling in a way. And so there's some ickiness to it, but this is the cost of doing what I want to do, is that I have to feel some ickiness, and it has to be in some way slightly contrived just in order to get the job done. Because this has been what I've said I want to do, and it's very simple. It's a very simple concept, and it's taken me quite literally years to actually press record on a conversation like this. And so it's a huge contribution that you make to support me to bring whatever value has arisen in this human. Because what's also arisen in this human is fear, is hesitation, is self-doubt, and all of the human things. And I can only look at other people who seem to have it all together, and that doesn't teach me anything. That doesn't help. I just look at them and go, how do they do it? Right? I need to see people struggling like I struggle, and slowly just eking past the barriers. And it's taking me so long, Gary, that I have to be so compassionate to myself. And I suppose it's given me time to cultivate that self-compassion, because it has been so long, and I've spent so many times procrastinating and avoiding. And here I am finally making a little video, which feels really good.
Gary shares about a conversation that he witnessed between me and another man.
To hear two people expressing different points of view, and it was spontaneous, and it was well derived, and it was well received, and it was well delivered, and it was balanced, and it was mutual, and it was respectful, and it was constructive, and it was robust, and it was like I was bearing witness to that beautiful conversation. And it just touched me to know that two men can nut stuff out in the way that you did. Art. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I do remember. And the other describer I would say would be safe as well, that it was safe while being robust, and all the things you said.
Yeah.
We were able to stay in safety. We were safe in ourselves. We were safe from each other. And
yeah.
that comes from creating a container for interpersonal interactions where there's processes that have been run between me and that man that lead to a feeling of safety to be able to express more fully and trust that it will be well received and respected. And so that takes time and energy and intention.
A little bit about the value of sharing with others.
How wonderful to utilize another human's nervous system to get perspective on the situation and open you up, like you said, that beautiful analogy of parting the woods so you can see a little bit more clearly. Okay, now I've got a additional perspective from talking it out with someone, and that is some of the value of having community, right? Why we're not just sitting there alone thinking, because that can often not get us anywhere. That just takes us down familiar pathways. But having other humans, other nervous systems to gently support an alternative viewpoint or an alternative perspective, wow, what a great way to sort of shortcut the process of getting out of that shame spiral and realizing.
It's time for our final shares.
Gary checking out. My cup overfloweth. I so much relevant, helpful, constructive, simple but yet effective information communicated in a beautiful way and received gratefully and lovingly, and there's some processing to do, but I'm feeling very safe. It was the last, feeling very safe and very supported. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling. This space. Thank you for being part of my journey.
Forté checking out. Yeah, really appreciating this time together. I appreciate the opportunity to flow with how our time together has ended up and how it's come out. And yeah, I feel a great deal of acceptance and a lot of value in this time. And yeah, I'm curious. It feels there feels like joy in my system for having done it, to meet my agreement and say yes to the previous version of me that talked about let's do this event. And so yeah, I feel on track in that way, and there's a level of trust that I can handle and pivot when necessary, and I can handle things. So that's a really valuable outcome. Yeah, with that, I'm out. Complete.
Thank you, Forté. I'm already looking forward to our next session together, however that looks. I'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Much love.
Yeah, likewise. Bye for now.